G'day and welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Screens are at the centre of pretty much every parenting dilemma we're facing today. It's so common for us to be grappling with how our children interact with screens, how screens interact with how children interact with their peers. Screens are at the core of every major parenting dilemma, or at least the vast majority of them. And today, answering your tricky questions. I'm flying solo. Mrs. Happy Families can't be with me today, but right after the break, we're going to dip into a tricky question about helping kids to be connected when all the friends are on screens and you're trying so hard to not have your kids on screens. What are we supposed to do? That next. Stay with us. Hello, welcome to the Happy Families podcast, real parenting solutions every single day. It's Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson, dad to 6 daughters, husband to 1 wife. But today, one of your tricky questions. If you've got a question you'd like to ask, just jump online to happyfamilies.com.au. We have a super simple system there where you can click a button, start talking about anything that's on your mind, anything that you're struggling with. I'd love to know about it. happyfamilies.com.au, or you can send a voice memo to podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au. Here we go with today's tricky question. This one is from Carolyn in Melbourne.
Hi, my name's Carolyn and I'm calling from Greensborough. I'm looking for some guidance around peer groups and the pressure that they put on children. I have an 11-year-old daughter who is really looking to spend some more time with her peers and get a mobile phone and follow the crowd. We have some pretty strict boundaries at home, and I'm concerned that in sticking to those, it's actually going to push her away. Can you please give me some advice around the best way to manage this? Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, not an uncommon question and something that so many parents are struggling with. Kids want to connect with their peers. Peers are all on phones. Child now wants a phone. You've got a strategy around keeping your children off phones for as long as time will allow it. How do we navigate this? I think the first thing is that we've got to start with the validation of the need. We've got an 11-year-old daughter here who is asking for something that is both healthy and age appropriate. More connection with her peers. Around about 11-ish, friendships become central to identity development. They're central to well-being. This is a good thing. We don't want to fight this need. We want to support it. It's just that the method of supporting it needs a little bit of finessing, and there's some conversations that need to be had with your daughter. I should also add, some of these conversations are just not going to go very well, no matter how carefully you follow any instructions that we discuss in this podcast. So let's talk about this idea of strict boundaries, because it's very clear from what you've said, Carolyn, that you're worried that by having boundaries in place that you're going to push your daughter away. And it's true that sometimes boundaries can do that. Rules without relationships lead to rebellion. But research also shows that kids do not pull away from parents who hold firm on important values and boundaries. They pull away, though, from parents who are dismissive or controlling or who are unwilling to listen. That is, there are a range of autonomy supportive and need supportive behaviors that you can engage in that facilitate the development and the internalization, a willingness to follow boundaries. So there are 5 or 6 different ways that we can look at how your child's going to regulate herself. The first one is external regulators. That's basically you threatening or promising goodies when the kids do the right thing. Completely ineffective, lowest form of education. The next kind is this thing that's called introjected. That's when I'm doing it because I have to. No one's making it, but I'm doing it because I'm supposed to, I should, I have to, I must. The third kind is the one that we're trying to get to here when it comes to your child being on board with the boundaries and going, okay, they're strict, but I get it. And this is where the word values really this is the linchpin, the hinge point. Values are things that I get, like I value it. I see the benefit of it. I buy the why. I understand the rationale. So when I say that you're worried that having these boundaries are going to push her away, they'll only push her away if she perceives that the boundaries are unfairly controlling or that you're dismissive of her needs and you're not willing to listen to what's going on. You can create boundaries where she goes, oh, okay, so you're getting where I'm coming from, but I understand your rationale. I understand your why. I understand the reason that you're saying that these boundaries are in place. Your child may not like the boundaries, but they'll be like, yeah, this kind of makes sense. Don't like it, but it makes sense. Therefore, I'm identifying my regulation around this, my motivation around this is what psychologists would call identified regulation. And this is what we're trying to get to. This means that you can develop boundaries with her and stay close with her because of it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. So what we're really trying to do is separate the phone from her connection with her peers. You can tell her that the phone is a tool, but it's not the only tool for meeting her need for peer connection. What we're trying to do is find ways to say yes to more friend time while saying not yet to the phone. And in our home, we've done a lot of this around having a landline, minimizing our children's access to devices and finding other ways for them to communicate. Or if they do need to do it, being on a very strictly monitored chat group that the parents know what's going on. They can be involved in any time because it's on a parent phone. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we do all of that right after the break, including a framework or model, plus some scripts that you can use that will make these conversations work. Stay with us. We're back. This is the Happy Families podcast answering your tricky questions. If you find these answers helpful, if you think the podcast is making a difference in your family, please share it with your friends. Just click the share button and pass it along to somebody that you think might benefit from the conversation we're having. Okay, so you've heard me, if you've listened to the podcast for any length of time, talk about the 3 E's of effective discipline. I want to step into that with a little bit of nuance and a little bit of scripting around this. Let's talk about explore, explain, empower. Got a child, wants to use the phone, wants to be connected with her friends, and we're saying, we don't love this. So let's start with explore, because this is where you're gathering that information and showing that you care about her perspective. This is an autonomy, supportive behavior. You say things like, tell me more about what you're hoping that a phone will give you. Or what do your friends do on the phone when you're together? Or how does it feel being the only one that doesn't have a phone? So as you get this information and you're genuinely trying to see her perspective, you're not doing it because it's a tactic. You're doing it because you actually care about what's going on in her world. She hopefully opens up, she shares, she talks to you about it. She's not trying to sell you. She's just answering questions about what's going on with the phone, why it's so important, and why using the device is such an integral part of making these connections work. Once you've done that and you've done it really effectively to the point that you can say, all right, so here's what you're saying. You're saying X, Y, and Z, and your child says, that's exactly what I'm saying, and there's no disagreement. And you've said, is there anything else? And they've said, no, that's everything. Then you move to explain. Here's what I would say. Based on a Doctor's Desk episode that we did, let's go to some stats from a study that was published in the Pediatrics Journal a little while ago, and I talked about this at length on the pod. I'd say to my child, I get that you're on the smartphone, but I want to talk to you about what some researchers have discovered about kids being on smartphones at your age. The younger you are, the more likely it is that you'll have depression, the more likely it is that you'll struggle with sleep, and the greater the likelihood, believe it or not, that you're ever going to struggle with weight issues. 12-year-olds with phones had a 31% chance of higher depression, a 40% chance of obesity, and a 62% likelihood of worse sleep compared to 12-year-olds without phones. And that's when you use the following line or script. My job as your mum is to protect your developing brain even when that feels unfair. It's not about not trusting you. It's about what these devices have been designed to do. They're built to be addictive. And I don't want you to be depressed. I don't want you to have bad sleep. I don't want you to have any body image issues or be worried about your weight. So my job is to educate you on this and help you to be healthy. So that's explore and explain. Now we move to empower. So that's when you basically say something along the lines of, and again, here's a really gentle and easy script for you. Let's figure out together how we can help you stay connected to your friends in a way that doesn't require you to be on a smartphone. And maybe you start coming up with ideas like setting up more hangouts or get-togethers, using the family phone so that you can text friends when you're at home, or using the landline so that you can have conversations. And then you might say when you're, I'm going to say 16, you might say 40. I mean, every family's got to work this out for themselves. We'll talk about a smartphone. When you've got enough money to provide for your own phone, then we can talk about that. But for now, what would make this easier? The whole idea of empowerment is not to say to your child, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to empower you now that I've explained some stuff. It's about saying, let's collaborate on this. And it's obviously moving away from dictating to your child. The only other thing that I can really think of to share here, Carolyn, that I think is going to be useful is this. You asked if sticking to your boundaries is going to push her away, but boundaries don't push kids away when they feel heard and loved. The thing that damages relationships is when kids feel dismissed or when they feel controlled, especially when there's no explanations. So if we stay warm and we stay connected, and if we hold these boundaries but with lots of empathy and lots of conversation and lots of exploration and explanation and empowerment, the data points to children doing better. It doesn't guarantee that there won't be any fights. It doesn't stop the pleading and the but can I, and I'm going to ask every second day until I get a yes. What it does do, though, is as a general rule, it shows that children are going to respect you, they're going to respect the rule, and they're much more likely to go along with it. There's no ironclad way. There's no 100% guaranteed solution here. But this is, from my read of the research, one of the most proven and one of the most powerful ways that we can move the needle in a positive direction in these tricky conversations. So where do we land with this? Right now, the answer is no. But when you're old enough to buy your own phone, or when you're 14, or when you're able to demonstrate this level of responsibility, we're happy to revisit this with you. And that will give her something to work towards and show that you're not being unilaterally or arbitrarily rigid endlessly and forever. Our youngest really wants an iPad. She wants to be able to use the phone and the iPad all the time. And we keep on having this same conversation with her. And right now, she understands that the answer is no, because she still hasn't been able to demonstrate a reasonable amount of responsibility in the way that she uses screens when she's given that privilege anyway. So for now, she's too young. And as a parent, you're allowed to say no. How you say it matters, though. And hopefully this has helped you with the right way to say it. So let's wrap this up, Carolyn. The challenge that you're facing is definitely not about the phone. It's about a lot more than the phone. It's about teaching your daughter that you're going to hold boundaries because you love her. But it's also teaching her that you'll listen to her and work with her to meet needs that she presents you. And that's the foundation of relationships that last in positive ways throughout adolescence, which is so trying, and obviously beyond that. Really hope that it's a helpful response. And thanks so much for the question. We love getting your questions. If you have a question for us, a tricky question, they're the best ones. You can get in touch with us via a voice note, podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au, or jump online to happyfamilies.com.au, scroll down to the bit where it says send us a voice note and start talking. It's a super simple system and we love hearing from you. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides additional support. And for more info about making your family happier, visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.